Shalom, giving honor and praise to the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. This is the Diaspora of Israel, Part 2. We're going to read mainly about the Israelites and the Assyrians. And let us start, if we will, in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel, and he reigned 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High, yet not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and brought him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and offered no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Now, just to go over a couple of things, we read about the guy in verse 3 named Shalmaneser. This is Shalmaneser the fifth, who was a king of the ancient Assyrian people. And it said that he went up throughout the land and besieged it for 3 years. The 3 years we're speaking about culminate from the year 725 to 722 BCE, so we can gain an understanding of what we're speaking about in timeline. Okay, verse 4. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and offered no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Now, this right here, when it says So, the king of Egypt, it is speaking in timeline wise about a guy who was actually named Shabaka, who was a ruler of the ancient Egyptians, but he was not an Egyptian person. He was an Ethiopian that was ruling in Egypt's 25th dynasty. So we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about. Verse 5. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor on the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. So I wanted to sit there and have that to be read. And then now we're going to go into secular references so that way we can speak further concerning this type of subject. I have here, brothers and sisters, the Macmillan Bible Atlas. And this right here speaks about the expanse of the Assyrian kingdom. So we can see where the people were. As we see there, Assyria. This is the Euphrates and the Tigris River, which still exists there to this day. As we see here, Gozan, Haran, that was also another one of their capitals. As you go later on after the era of Ashur-bani-pal. And all these areas right here is where the Israelites of the northern kingdom were taken into the land of the Assyrian captivity. So we can gain an understanding of what we're speaking about. This we see right here is a picture of Tiglath-Pileser attacking, brothers and sisters, a city. Now let's go, if we will, into a secular source. I have a book here entitled Hebrewisms of West Africa. Okay, and it speaks about this particular subject. We're going to go to page 123 so we can gain an understanding concerning this kind of subject. All right. It says, historically, the obliteration of the northern kingdom may be concisely told. The disintegration began when Tiglath-Pileser, the Assyrian king, in his campaign of 733 to 722 BC, overthrew Damascus and invaded northern Israel. In consequence of this invasion, J. Powis Smith tells us Israel lost her territory east of the Jordan, the population of which was deported to Assyria. The ultimate destruction of the northern tribes was accomplished a few years later, when Sargon II, 722 to 721 BCE, completed the work that had been begun by his predecessor Shalmaneser, finally capturing Samaria, which had held out for a 3-year siege. The conqueror thus recorded his triumph. I besieged and captured Samaria and carried away 27,290 of its inhabitants. I collected there 50 chariots. The remains of them I permitted to retain their goods, put my governors over them, and I laid the tribute of former kings upon them. So that right there is the record that was left by Sargon, who was the successor, brothers and sisters, of Shalmaneser. So you have Shalmaneser, who was the successor of Tiglath-Pileser. And then later on, after Shalmaneser, you had Sargon, who was the successor of Shalmaneser. Here is a list of what we're reading of. This is Tiglath-Pileser, 733, 732 BCE. Shalmaneser V, 724 to 722 BCE. Sargon, 721 BCE. And we'll get into this in part 3. Sennacherib, 701 BCE. So I just want to sit there and focus upon these 3 individuals right here that we've been speaking on. Sargon is the one that Hebrewisms of West Africa speaks about in reference about him speaking about capturing the land of Samaria. Samaria was the capital of the northern kingdom of Israel. So that way we can gain an understanding. And that was set up, brothers and sisters, by Ahab when you go in your own time in the book of 1 Kings chapter 16. Okay, so now let's go, if we will, remembering what we just read. Let's go, brothers and sisters, into the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 5 so we can gain an understanding. 1 Chronicles chapter 5 verse 25. Okay? And here is what we read. It says the following. And they broke faith with the God of their fathers, and went astray after the gods of the peoples of the land, whom God destroyed before them. And the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, even the spirit of Tiglath-Pileser, the king of Assyria. And when he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and brought them into Halah and Habor and Harah, and to the river of Gozan unto this day. So what we just read, brothers and sisters, is about this guy here named Tiglath-Pileser. Now, when you read about Pul, P-U-L, that was the same person, because he was a ruler in Babylon under the name Pulu. All right, so let that be noted and understood in history. So since the era of Tiglath-Pileser I, around the era of 1000 BCE, the Assyrian people were already having some kind of hegemony also in the land of Babylon. But it came really to its climax by the time we read about Pul or Pulu. That is the same person as Tiglath-Pileser, the same king of Assyria, the third. All right, so let that be noted and understood. Now, I want to sit there, and brothers and sisters, and take the time to sit there and show this in a particular map. Because we just read that the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Gad, and the tribe of Manasseh was taken over into the land of the Assyrian people. All right? Now, this right here is a map of how ancient Israel was within their own land. As we see here, Manasseh, this being on the west side of the Jordan. Then the villages of Yair, Manasseh, the east side of the Jordan. Gad and Reuben. Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh. These 3 people, or these 3 tribes, that is, on the east side of the Jordan, were the people that was taken into the land of the Assyrians first. And that was done, as we read in in 1 Chronicles chapter 5 by Tiglath-Pileser. All right, so let that be noted and understood in history. So, brothers and sisters, continuing on in this particular aspect, the king of Israel at that time was a guy named Hoshea, who was the son of Elah. Okay, and he was the last king of the northern tribes of Israel. So let that be noted and understood. Let's go, for clarification purposes, back into the scriptures. We're going to go to 1 Kings chapter 12 verse 17. 1 Kings 12:17, and here is what we read so we can gain an understanding concerning this kind of matter. It says the following. But as for the children of Israel that dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. So this is speaking centuries before the fall of the northern kingdom of Israel. What we just read about is a situation where you had Judah in the south, the southern kingdom, and Israel in the north, the northern kingdom. Jeroboam was the king in the north, and Rehoboam was the king in the southern part. Okay? But this part I wanted to have read is because it distinctly says that for the children of Israel that remained in the cities of Judah. So you had people that was of the northern tribes that lived in the southern kingdom of Judah, being ruled by the king of Judah. Okay, so let that be noted and understood in history. Okay, now, brothers and sisters, I want to go back, if we will, to conclude into what we call the Macmillan Bible Atlas. We're going to go to page 67 to sit there and show a reference concerning these types of matters of what we are speaking of. Okay, and here, brothers and sisters, is what we're looking for and what we're going to be discussing and concluding this subject. Here it is, right here. This here we see is Reuben, Gad, and over here will be, as we showed earlier, where Manasseh would have been. Now, I wanted to sit there and have this to be shown because when you go scriptural, brothers and sisters, it says that if the people inhabited the east side of the Jordan and they do not go over the Jordan to fight against the Canaanites and to assist the children of Israel, their brethren, that their sin will find them and that they will be a derision among their enemies. And that's exactly what wound up happening. These tribes here, Manasseh, Gad, and Reuben, when you go into the book of Joshua chapter 20, you will sit there and find out that when they settled in their own land there, they did not go over the Jordan here to assist the tribes that was on this side when they had to go to battle against the enemies. And as we see, these are the first tribes to be taken out into the land of captivity. All right, so let that be noted and understood by the Assyrians. All right, so I just want to sit there and conclude with that particular subject. You had it to where the northern tribes of Israel was taken and their kingdom fell in the year 721, 722 BCE. Okay, so thus concludes this particular portion entitled Diaspora of Israel Part 2. Shalom.